Today, we're digging into cybersecurity, but maybe not in the way you're used to. We're going to step away from the code, from the machines, and really explore the human side of it all. And our guide for this journey is the Cybersecurity Body of Knowledge, or CyBOK. Think of it as this incredible map of the entire cybersecurity universe, covering everything from the deepest tech to human culture itself. All right, let's get right into it. The first thing we need to do is challenge this common idea of what cybersecurity really is. We tend to think of it as this super technical field, right? A kind of digital war fought with algorithms and hardware. But you're about to see that's really just one piece of a much, much bigger puzzle. I mean, when I say cybersecurity, you probably picture things like firewalls, complicated encryption, anti-malware software, the works. It's a world of code, networks, and servers. We've got this mental image of building these digital fortresses to protect our data, where every single line of defense is purely technological. But here's the twist that the CyBOK framework makes so clear. You can have the most advanced digital lock ever created. But what good is it if someone just gives away the key? It turns out the most critical vulnerabilities often aren't in the software at all. They're in us, the people who use the tech, the organizations we work for, and the laws that try to govern all of it. Technology by itself just can't do the job. Okay, so let's start right there with what is arguably the most important piece, the human factor. Why do smart, well-intentioned people click on those dodgy phishing links or, let's be honest, use password 123 for everything? It's not as simple as just being careless. The problem goes a lot deeper than that. Well, researchers Sasse and Fletches broke it down beautifully. They found that when we don't follow the rules, it's usually for one of two big reasons. First, we might be unable to. Maybe the security policy is written in complete jargon, or the special software we're supposed to use is just a total pain. The other side of the coin is being unwilling. And this isn't about being rebellious. It's often because we don't really believe there's a risk or, and this is the big one, finding a workaround is just the fastest way to get our actual job done. And this gets to a solution that's been around in computing for ages, a principle called psychological acceptability. All that really means is that security has to make sense to a normal human being. It's got to be intuitive. It has to line up with what you're actually trying to accomplish. If a security step feels like a random, pointless hurdle, you know what happens? We ignore it, we bypass it, or we mess it up. The bottom line is we have to design security to fit people, not expect people to twist themselves into pretzels to fit security. So that leads us perfectly to the next level up, the organization. Because all these individual actions, the good and the bad, they don't just happen in a bubble. They're all shaped by the culture, the rules, and the priorities of the company we work for. A truly secure organization is way more than just a bunch of secure people. So how do you actually build that secure culture? It's not with those cheesy posters that say think before you click. It's with a structured process. The International Risk Governance Council gives us this really neat 4-step framework. It basically turns security from a frantic, reactive mess into a thought-out, manageable process. You start by just framing the problem, then you look at all your options, you judge what level of risk you can actually live with, and then finally, you make a plan and you stick to it. It's all about making security a core part of the business, just like sales or marketing. Now, a huge part of that process is learning to see risk on 2 different levels. It's really easy to spot the component level risk, an unpatched server over there, a vulnerable laptop here, but the real sneaky danger often lives at the system level in how all those pieces connect and interact. For example, a tiny breach in the marketing department might seem like no big deal, but what if it creates a secret backdoor into the company's core financial systems? You'd only ever see that threat if you're looking at the whole system, not just the individual parts. All right, let's zoom all the way out now to the widest and maybe the messiest lens of all, this tangled, complicated world of international law and regulation. Every single thing we do online, every piece of data we generate, it all exists inside a legal framework. Or, more accurately, inside dozens of them, all overlapping and sometimes even contradicting each other. And that question right there is the fundamental problem. The internet is global, it's everywhere, but laws are still national. So imagine a company based in California is using a server in Ireland to store data about a customer who lives in Germany. If there's a data breach, whose laws even apply? Who gets to investigate? This is the massive headache that governments, companies, and lawyers are dealing with every single day. To even begin to untangle this, it helps to know about 2 basic types of law. You've got substantive law, which is the what. It defines what you can and can't do. Think computer crime laws or data protection rules like GDPR. These are the big picture principles. Then you have procedural law. That's the how, the nitty-gritty details of how you enforce the rules, things like court procedures and what counts as evidence. and that stuff can be wildly different from country to country. SIBOC mainly focuses on substantive law because those core principles are more universal. And this legal patchwork is absolutely real. Just look at this. The US and the UK were passing their first computer crime laws way back in the 80s and 90s. Since then, pretty much every country has written its own unique version. The result is this incredibly complex global web where one single click online could be totally legal in one country, but a serious crime in another, all depending on where you, the server, and the victim happen to be. So it's pretty clear that modern cybersecurity isn't a one-dimensional thing. To really get it, we have to bring these three different perspectives, the human, the organizational, and the legal, all together. Let's look at the full picture of what an effective defense actually looks like today. First things first, you absolutely have to start with the technology. Strong encryption, secure code, solid networks. That's the bedrock. It is the essential first layer of your defense, and frankly, without it, everything else is going to fall apart. But, and this is a huge but, that technology is only as good as the organization using it. It has to be backed up by a culture that actually values security, by smart processes that manage risk, and by people who are empowered, not just told, to do the right thing. And finally, both of those layers, the tech and the people, they exist inside this third dimension, that global maze of laws and regulations. Every single security decision, from where you store your data to how you report a breach, is shaped by legal rules that can reach across oceans. Which brings us to a final thought to leave you with. As our world gets more and more connected, maybe our biggest challenge isn't technical at all. Maybe it's not really about building a better firewall. Maybe it's about the much harder, much more human challenge of building a smarter, more responsible, and truly secure global culture.